And now, your official TigerBait live show with Mike Scarborough and Buddy Songy starts now.
All right, everybody. Welcome in another edition of TigerBait Live, and we've got a lot to talk about. Obviously, LSU baseball heading to Auburn for another SEC series this weekend. They'll have, of course, that's 2 weekends in a row. They've been on the road, and then they'll have 2 weekends in a row at home with Alabama and Tennessee in the next couple of weeks. We had Jay Johnson today, of course, a win over Nichols last night down in Thibodaux. We can talk about LSU baseball, LSU football back at it. We were out there yesterday morning. We'll be back out there tomorrow morning. And then Sunday, you got the whatever that little scrimmage or whatever they're calling it. And we'll be there for that one. And then we're assuming we get a day or two next week. No confirmation on that. LSU softball continues to go at an incredible clip. LSU men's and women's basketball programs working the transfer portal. Gymnastics heading towards a possible repeat national championship. So it's that time of year in the spring where everything's happening at the same time. So we've got a lot to discuss tonight. Mike Scarborough here with TigerBait.com and my co-host, Buddy Songy. Welcome in, buddy.
Good to see you. I've got the Masters green on today with the Masters hat. You've got the pink with the Under Armour. Hope everybody doing well. Beautiful.
It's
weather.
coral. Don't say pink. I'll have
what is it?
I'll have what's his name all over me. Coral.
Coral.
We'll call it coral.
Yeah, there are a couple of your buddies that don't like the pink garb. But anyway, hope everybody doing well. Look, excellent weekend last weekend. I don't know too many people that knew how good Oklahoma was in baseball, but LSU invariably goes over there and sweeps. Your phone was blowing up. My phone was blowing up. Everybody's, take him out, take him out. Kate Anderson goes 135 pitches, which is abnormally more another 20 pitches, but he was strong, and Jay and Coach Yeski, who did a great job of mixing up his pitches. And then, of course, as we know, won a couple close games, and then that Cole one on Saturday. Women's basketball, men's basketball champs. Florida prevails against Houston. Connecticut sends a statement to our friends in South Carolina. We are teary-eyed on this Wednesday night that they didn't bring it home. By the way, they were supposed to win it in 2022. LSU won it with Kim Mulkey. Supposed to win it this year, and UConn won it. And so I think Kim still got 4 and Dawn's got 3. But you know what irritates the hell out of the country?
Latson going there?
No. The day before the final at the press conference, Dawn Staley says, oh, it shouldn't be about Paige Beckers. It should be about my group, what we've done, what we've accomplished, yada, yada, yada. You're not likable. And it's not just Baton Rouge. You're not likable.
She's not likable, but Aflac gives her a ton of money.
Well,
the marketing folks like to give her money.
Well, listen.
What does that say?
Well, it tells you that she's got a specific
not likable.
brand.
Everything's a conspiracy. We can go down a big road, but yeah.
But a lot of people hate Mulkey. A lot of people hate Dawn Staley. And Gino, how about this? He had 11 coming in here, now 12 natties. Do you realize he's got more than Nick Saban and Kim Mulkey combined? But we have to say football is appreciably tougher to win it than in men's or women's basketball. But Gino and Oriema and UConn and Sarah Strong, you know what a battle that was. Carolina, LSU, UConn, she was fantastic. Another guard outplayed Beckers, and then Florida. Clayton was just phenomenal at the end, and they didn't play that well Monday night, but they prevailed. Houston kind of grabbed the throat a little bit, but as we know, CNEC's going over there, and a lot of people thought if Kelvin Sampson won it, he might retire.
I really wanted Houston to win.
I wanted Houston to win too. A lot of people were pulling for Houston. They've never won it before. Elvin Hayes, Akeem Olajuwon, all those stars.
They melted down. I mean, they melted down at the end.
They did. So, but look, folks, what we're trying to get to is that it's not that easy to win a natty, whether you have the best team or not. It's just not that easy.
All right, everybody. You guys drive the show. I've had a few comments, not enough football talk. You guys pick the comments. We read your comments, your questions, and you guys decide. We have some notes. We have things we want to talk about. But for the most part, we don't do blocks where we do 10 minutes of football, 15 minutes of this. We meander all over the place. So as we take your comments, if it goes from baseball to gymnastics to women's basketball recruiting, and then 4 in a row of football, that's the way it's going to be. So,
by the way, real quick, tomorrow morning on our practice report, we're going to go through and give you some numbers. A lot of you, if you don't know, it's not an actual spring game. They're going to let you come in there. They're going to warm up at 10:30. They're going to start scrimmaging at 11:05. And then it's not going to be an actual game, but we'll give you some numbers like Tyree Adams at 71. He's going to be at left tackle. Weston Davis at right tackle, 75. So we'll give you some of those numbers and some of those players to look forward to. I have no idea what we're going to see.
Well, you know what happened yesterday? While we were in there, Sadir Mitchell goes down. Right. It's on my tape and scares everybody. And, of course, we're not allowed to post our practice footage or our practice reports until practice is ended. So we got our typical 20 minutes, then we leave, and then there's typically about an hour and a half to an hour and 45, maybe even a couple of hours before practice ends. And usually we're reaching to someone in football or LSU sports information saying, are they done? Is it okay for us to post? Or if it's a day where Brian Kelly's talking to us after practice, when he walks in the room, most of your media is on the front row with their laptops hitting enter on all their practice reports because they know practice is over. So on days where we don't have a coach or player interviews to know that play, So anyways, once we were done recording, and thanks to Jacques and John East for filling in for Buddy, who was out yesterday, got word from a source that Mitchell was fine. He had gotten on an exercise bike after that and walked around. Looked, he was good. Well, I put that note in the description of our video and on TigerBait, where I embed the YouTube video of our practice clips. I put it there as well, and on our practice report. Well, it seemed like it went all day yesterday where everybody was asking what's going on with Sadir Mitchell. Well, it was already there, but we had already recorded our practice report, but I put it down in a written note at the bottom. And so sometimes you got to read a little bit. That's the bottom line. Well, look,
I did not sleep in. I had a crown that you're never going to see a crown on my head, but hopefully you have crowns on my teeth. And so we took care of that. It was already, I told Mike, look, it was Monday or Tuesday. It was going to be Monday. Then they moved me to Tuesday. So it all worked out. They did a great job, but we'll give you an extended
Was it a replacement crown or a new crown?
Oh, brand new.
The worst is a replacement crown because you're eating hard candy like I've done before.
And
that's another $1,400 out the window.
Yeah, well, it look, but I love my dentist, and she did a great job. So we're all good to go, fired up for this weekend, and we'll give you an extensive report tomorrow morning.
All right, let's hit it. Here we go. Fire 3449 says, hit the like button, guys. Absolutely. Please hit that like button. Share the show on your Facebook feed. Text it out to your fellow LSU buddies. We're going to go till 7 o'clock and get to all your questions and comments. Roger Ramjet, hello, Mike and Buddy. Good to be with you. Always enjoy the show. Thank you. Chance Babin, have y'all got to see Alex Adkins working the team? I'd love to hear BK talk about his impact this spring.
He, of course, comes over from Florida State. Mike gave me the scoop that I think this guy's going to be coming over. And, of course, that had a lot to do with Solomon Thomas, who was committed to Florida State. He is going to be part of the run game. I forgot the official title, if he's run game coordinator or whatever. But this is going to be interesting with Joe Sloan, with BK, with Brad Davis, with Alex Atkins. Then you got to throw in, of course, Hankton at the wide receiver coach. And we'll see.
Believe me, there's some pressure on this offensive line, and particularly Davis, because this baloney of not having a good run game and particularly when you had 2 All-Americans, that's not going to fly. That's not going to work. He's recruited well, got a lot of players, a lot of good talent. I'm not going to buy that they're not doing what they're supposed to do in the weight room. Look at them. You can see it. They put in the work. So I think there could be a technique problem.
Well, that is it. The line of scrimmage, once again, Mike, in the SEC with this schedule. I think somebody told me another line came out. LSU's 2.5 point underdogs in that ball game. I'd love to see LSU a 3-point dog. I think any little motivational, psychological positive you got going in. That's going to be a tough game, but you line up and it gets down to those things we talk about. You can't turn the football over. You got to score touchdowns when you get in the red zone. BK's got to make the right decision. Do you kick a field goal? Do you go for it on fourth down? And back to the question, Alex Atkins, I'm hoping, is going to bring some oomph and some creativity to play calling and physicality and get LSU in the end zone instead of kicking field goals.
Absolutely. That's the big question mark on offense, and we can debate defense. I'll say safety, but let's hear from Mike and Alex over at Pride Roofing.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Little Alex.
Have you been affected by wind, hail, and tornadoes on the North Shore? Well, we're here to help.
Insurance claim, no problem.
We also have a new franchise location in New Orleans.
We don't build projects, we build memories.
Though you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer of TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection, and on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Remember to call us at 855-PRIDE-16.
There it is, 855-PRIDE-16. Text with Mike Faraday just minutes ago. Added new equipment, even more equipment to their whole fleet of trucks, and always adding and improving their business. And new location, of course, here in Baton Rouge, big on the North Shore, Madisonville, Mandeville, based in Hammond. Of course, Mike Faraday himself is a Broadmoor High LSU grad, Louisiana owned and operated company, and let them earn your business. Again, if you've got any competing companies estimate on letterhead, they will beat it by $150. They're on a first name basis with all the insurance adjusters. They use all the same software that the insurance adjusters use for your roof. So give them a shot. And as always, they've got a couple of $1 million of shingles in stock at all times. So once the decisions, you give them the green light and it's time to go, you're not going to be waiting around for a few months because there's some particular color of shingle or type of shingle that you're waiting on. There's a good chance they've got it in stock and they're ready to go.
Gave Mike a lead the other day. Listen, folks, this is how we advertise for them. Word of mouth. They're good people. You hear it every week. Residential, commercial, obviously metal roofs. We talk about metal roofs, acquisition of Crown Metals, but really that word right there, pride. You're going to have pride for your defenses this year. You're going to have pride if you do business. PFM, a lot of other people's, Don, many others. All we ask is an opportunity. 1-855-PRIDE-16. Tell them Mike and Buddy sent you over. Pride Roofing. You will not be disappointed.
All right. Yeah, this is a good one. Brad David. Good evening, Mike and Buddy. What are your thoughts on the roster moves McMahon has made? I think that he's made the team better. But do you look at these guys and you look at their tape, and when we put out the commitment stories and the signing stories, and you look at the tapes, you look at where they're from, you look at their athleticism, is it enough to have LSU in the NCAA tournament next year? Is there that marquee stud player that you're saying, wow, how did they get that? How did they do that? Who do they beat out for that?
Well, they did that with the point guard from Vegas. They gave him a lot of money, and we'll see if he's worth it. Look, it's kind of like what LSU did with football. You can get one guy in like a Bryce Underwood, or you can get 6 other guys because you didn't get Underwood. I think that's the same game plan that they're going, and they need bodies. Damian Collins is the last couple of days he got in the portal. We know that Victorious Miller and all those other guys. And so, look, they're going to be better. But I
like
think
the kid from Omaha's tape. I mean,
oh yeah, but I'm saying, but it's just too early to know if they're going to be able to. They're going to be better. They obviously got to be better. I mean, it can't be any worse than last year. But asking that question, do they make the NCAA dance? Right now, it's just an early crapshoot.
Well, when everybody in the league but 2 get in,
yeah.
I mean, what do you have to do?
Well,
you
that was last year, though.
You sure as hell don't want to be one of those 2 again.
Yeah.
Or it's over. Woodward's going to have to get in the office and do some work. All right. Chance Babb and Jay and Skip seem to have a great relationship. They absolutely do. How do you think Jay and Paul's relationship is? You know, it's funny, Chance, you brought that up. And I'm sitting there standing at Jay's presser earlier today. And for whatever reason, Maneri came up as well. I thought about what their relationship might have been, and if it
was Jacques there.
No, Jacques wasn't there
because he does a great Maneri.
But I look. I think Maneri felt like he got pushed out. I don't care what he says. He was absolutely pushed out. He was told he was done. I think he resented that. You know, he'd tell a bunch of people that most of the players on Jay's national championship team he brought in. And look, some of this true. Dylan Cruz was there. But he didn't leave him any pitching, did he?
Yeah.
The pitching staff was a graveyard.
They didn't have a lefty one year. Not one single
Yeah, when they went to
lefty.
Southern Miss and lost, they had no lefties.
And so, look, I think that some of us are more blessed than others. Not only did he get paid the last $3 million of those 3 years, but he also got a new gig over at South Carolina. And so he's trying to rebuild. I don't think anybody feels like he's going to last more than 2 or 3 years over there. They've already struggled in SEC play. Ironic that they're going to Carolina last weekend of the year. But look, anytime you come and replace somebody, you know, for a while there, but Paul's got to get over it. He had a great run, won a natty, played for another one. I mean, you know, it was close, but let's be honest. He got a little lazy at the end, and he wasn't feeling well.
And I think that's kind of – I'm trying to figure out what triggered me to think of that Maneri today while sitting there listening to Jay, but something triggered my thought on that. And I'm like, he was mentioning old coaches, and he mentioned Augie Garrido. I think that's what it was, Augie Garrido. And I'm thinking about that's what it was. How many baseball coaches stay in one place for almost a lifetime? It doesn't happen. And so, and I look at the multiple years that Jay's been here now, and I'm like, I don't see where the LSU fan base is tiring of him. If your only gripe with Jay Johnson is the fact that he opens the season at noon or 1 in February for the opening weekend on a Friday, and you have to get off work, or like last weekend where they were playing baseball at 1:45 in the morning. If that's your only gripe with him, then he's doing damn good. He's likable. He works hard. I can't. The reason why I'm saying this is I can't fathom him a decade from now or 6 years from now all of a sudden being lazy. No. I just don't see that in his DNA.
But Mike, you got to understand, and everybody goes through this. When you win a national championship, we've seen it with Coach Mulkey. We're now seeing it with Jay Clark in the gymnastics. We're seeing it with Jay Johnson. People have an insatiable appetite. And as I've said on this show numerous times, if you think you're having a bad day or a bad year with your Tigers, go look up what Texas A&M's done from natties. It's non-existent. Back to Jay Johnson. He knows that every year the fans expect to get to Omaha, and they expect to win a natty every 4 or 5 years. Now, whether they do that this year or not, are they going to stay healthy? Big plus last night. William Schmidt, the freshman phenom from Calicut. Best he's looked all year long. Light finally came on for him. Curveball was fantastic. But you got to peak at the right time.
Let's say Jay Johnson won another national championship in the next 5 years.
Okay.
But then he goes like 6 years without one. How long does this fan base, but there's trips to Omaha, but there's no, how long can you go?
I probably won't still be on the air, but you will.
But how long can a coach go here?
Just depends. Because let me tell you one thing, nobody outworks him. And what I like about Jay Johnson is he doesn't put up with
he's got a young mind. Like he's willing to change with the times.
But he doesn't put up with any drama. In case you don't know, last year, folks, the locker room with baseball was a mess. And it was because a lot of these guys were bitching that they weren't getting the time. And so I don't know if you noticed, Mike, but 28 of the 40 players this year are new. He only had 12 returners. Next year, by the way, you can inform us about that. They're down to a 34-man roster. Did he get into that?
I did. He went on for a good while. I was texting Buddy and I said, has he ever addressed that? And so I brought it up and he went off. I mean, it was, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I thought it was a good question.
Pat you on the back. You got that question in before Koki?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm. But he said they were having a meeting about it. And they talk about it every day. And they went off on it. So if you haven't seen that, it's Jay Johnson Pressers on the channel. Spectrum Well Care. What was Sadir Mitchell's? I don't know what it was, but he seemed to be fine.
Lower leg injury.
He was either.
Yeah. By the way, he is a load. I don't think you and I will probably agree on this. I don't think he can play more than 30 plays a game. But if you get him 10 or 15 snaps, and the big news that you, John, and Jacques broke yesterday, man, I watched the practice tape. Jacoby and Gilroy looked pretty damn good.
He did for a guy this soon.
Because you worry when you're off that.
He looked agile too.
You lose muscle mass, and you know. But he looked good. You get him in here with Bro and McKinley, and then Sean Washington, and then these new guys. They're going to beat.
I think if there's a defensive tackle, a good one in the portal, they think can help them, and they can afford him. I think they'll get one.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm just saying they've got more depth, and definitely you're going to have more push from the edge.
Andy Whitaker, Fizzbuzz, y'all are doing a great job, and always have. I wouldn't respond to that criticism. That's, and I'm sure in response to what I was saying earlier about people upset that we talk about a lot of sports, not just football, on this show. This was a good one. Chicago Cheetah, what do you guys think of Kate Koval coming to LSU? I like it. I like her tape. Is she a 1-for-1 replacement for Samaya Smith? I don't know that I would say that, but she's certainly an upgrade from Alea Del Rosario. And you look at her film, and she's got a wide body, physical, 6'5", something that they haven't had. And as she gets older, you've got her for 3 more years. That's nice. It's not just a 1-year deal. Of course, anything can be a 1-year deal. I mean, buddy, it's not as bad in women's, but man, you look at some of the men's transfer portals, and some of the outlets will use logos to say where they've come from. I mean, some guys got 4 logos on their. I mean, they're moving every year.
Yeah, well, that was the whole problem. That's why we have the Wild Wild West, because the NCAA buckled the pressure and didn't make you sit out a year. And look, I think we all know BK had to adjust it. He didn't want to use the pay word.
I'll tell you what you need to do.
He didn't want to use the P word. He did not want to pay. He realized they're going to have to pay. He didn't want to overpay, but you got to pay to get players.
I think you should get the 1 free. But if you try to move a second time, you have to sit out a year.
Yeah, well, they're not changing any of that now.
Or maybe you have to sit out a year. But if you actually graduate and get your degree, then maybe you don't have to sit out. But they've got to have some.
Back to the question, she is going to love the food. She's going to run more than she's ever run. And I think that she's going to give them the potential that Del Rosario never developed into. She's not as stiff. And, of course, look, Kim, I guarantee you, Kim did not like having depth with the bigs. And so probably another big coming in if you get the right piece in here.
Dr. John Sibley Butler with a super chat. Thank you, Dr. Butler. He says, I have heard that many players in the football portal have demands so high that they're being cut when they arrive on campus. This is forcing a trend back to an emphasis on high school recruits. Any truth to this observation? I think when they have junior days, whether it's high school or kids come in, I think they get an immediate feel when they're dealing with the players' agents, for someone in the portal, or if you have a high school prospect and his family come and you're talking about what little Johnny's hobbies are and what's his grade point average and what he wants to. What are his goals in life outside of football? But the parents only want to talk about money. Then you know what you're dealing with, and if you can cut bait, then you do it then.
Yeah, I don't know about the cutting. By the way, Dr. John Sibley Butler, one of our great sponsors on the show, always gives us a super chat, so we appreciate him. He's legendary. Of course, he made the trip to see the ladies in the Final Four. They got beat by Carolina in the semifinal game. He saw Chris Giat and the people, Buzzy and everybody coming over for the Texas baseball series. Does a great thing. Mike, here's the question of the spinoff that I have, and I'll ask you being BK. How do you ascertain? You got a high school recruit coming in, and let's say a corner like DJ Pickett or safety, and how do you determine what you're going to pay him moving on as a true freshman versus a guy that's played for 3 years and now, like Mansour Delane, he comes in. Mansour Delane is a plug-and-play guy for me. I think he's going to start on the night of August 30th. So how do you differentiate the money? Because here's the problem you have with the high school kid. And we saw it with Lance Hurd before all of this stuff got crazy. You get here 1 year, you develop him, and then all of a sudden he says, okay, give me this, or Tennessee, or Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss is going to pay me more, and I'm bye-bye. So that, to me, I don't think the fans realize just how tough it is juggling all this money. And you threw in the other caveat with the deal. Not just mamas and daddies and uncles and aunts anymore. Agents and handlers and all these other. This is a cloudy situation now. So hang in there. But
and then as a coach, you have to thread the needle, because a lot of times the kids just want to be football players, and they've got an adult over their shoulder that are the ones trying to squeeze the lemon.
Yeah, sure.
And so you're going to make a calculation. All right, okay, this kid's from Texarkana, Texas. He's going to be a little bit good ways from home, so he's not going to have that constantly over his shoulder. But then if it's a parent that says, "Well, I'm moving with my child," then that's out the window. There's so many calculations you have to do. And that's why you see coaches that have the option to decide if they can get a job in the NFL and not deal with any of this, they're doing it. I don't blame Bo Davis for leaving. The timing stunk, but thank God you got Kyle Williams, and we're going to be excited to see what he can do. Dr. Butler, thank you for that, as always. Big time. Always supporting us. All right. You know what I got to do now? I need to talk about Struby's. Look at that on the screen, everybody. We've got some new images for you. All our TigerBait Live shows proudly brought to you by Struby's Seafood and Steaks, located at 107 3rd Street, downtown Baton Rouge. Struby's, of course, is locally owned, ownership right there in the building, and just a great menu of specialty meats, USDA prime Black Angus, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. And they've got a lot of things outside of red meat. They've got the dry-aged pork chop, black truffle, lobster pasta, redfish, duck Louisiana, and of course you got steak Diane on the back end of their menu. And by the way, get the lamb lollipops as an appetizer, and as one of your sides, the crawfish mac and cheese is to die for, or you can do that as an appetizer. So book your reservation online tonight at strubys.com. And please let them know TigerBait sent you in.
Always accommodating. Call the young lady answering the phone. She's going to host. Ask her about the parking. Ask her about your reservation. And I'm sorry, I'm still a member of the Pork Chop Club. I know you like the steak, but I'm going pork chop.
And by the way, there's not many restaurants in town that make their own desserts. Struby's absolutely does, as does Capital City Grill, that we're going to talk about later in the show. Their dessert menu is always off the chain. So if you go, ask for the dessert menu. And we're still going to do, come August, we're going to do a kind of a little cocktail afternoon happy hour type thing. We'll figure out that date. We'll let you know.
And I might, since I'm in such a good mood, I might have a t-shirt, a free t-shirt on me for every TigerBait woman, man, and kid that shows up to that party.
Yep. Mike, what grade is the 6'5" girl? That's Caroline Bradley at Oak Grove. She just finished her sophomore season, so she's got 2 more years yet left. And she's going to be big time. Tiger Shark's calling me. We're on the air, Tiger Shark.
Shark was probably giving you the latest on the NCAA and the legal aspect. Look, Kate Covell is much needed size. I think the other question, Mike, we talk about safety in football. We talk about just more players on men's basketball. But for the ladies, you gotta get some kind of stability at point guard. And of course, as you and Emily were doing the show, I mean, I know a lot of people were frustrated, and I'm sure Jada was too, that she didn't get more PT. But if you get a little more depth with the bigs, that's going to be tough to replace Anissa Morrow now. And Samaya was playing well, but point guard to me, and they've got some scorers and all those young ladies coming in. So I think you don't have to worry about Kim Mulkey. She's going to have a loaded roster again.
Do you think Samaya Smith and Alea Del Rosario stay in the SEC, says Mr. SC Bread? I'm not sure on that, but Mr. SC is one of the guys that is a Gamecock fan, and I'm not going to say I'm sorry for your loss.
Del Rosario is not an SEC player at this point. You talked about it the other day. She got really skinny. She got hurt again, unfortunate, and put the weight back on, played stiff, had a propensity to get in foul trouble. So I don't see her going to an SEC team. Samaya Smith, if Texas wants to pay her or TCU or whatever.
I think she can go to a lot of different places.
Yeah, she can.
But, yeah.
But look, Latson, that's a big pickup for South Carolina. She fits what they do. She is a scorer supreme.
She got a former teammate from high school that's at South Carolina too.
Yeah,
so.
and so we'll see. They're going to be very good. Look, Carolina's always going to be up there. But UConn back to winning that natty. I don't know if you heard Gino afterwards. It had been 9 years since they had last won it. You never know if you're going to win it again. And they had some injuries to overcome and peaking at the right time. But no disrespect to the Carolina fan, they stopped the 71-game winning streak at home by beating them by 31 points. They take them out back in the championship game and win by what? 20.
I'm going to say
23.
This.
So that was not a fluke. They were the best team in the country.
I told you in text message yesterday, look, I don't know if you're beating them when they're going in the portal and getting players like Latson to combine with already their stellar high school recruiting. It's gonna be a tough sledding.
Well, Latson better learn how to play two halves.
Yeah.
She ran out of gas over here at LSU. By the way, that was the best game of the year, Mike. 29
Well,
assists.
she's the one. She don't have to be a one-man show with them.
I know, but I was just making a jab at her because she kind of fell off the map in the second half. But LSU, that was their best game of the year.
Yeah.
29 assists and only 11 turnovers.
Dr. Butler says LSU basketball cannot get any worse. It has to improve from last year's record. Edo got the Crabs, the best two in the business, two greatest of all time. Do you think any LSU football players enter the portal? The math says certainly. But what would that number look like? 2, 3?
Well, we won't name any names, but let's just take a guy who's an offensive line that's been around 2 or 3 years. And now all of a sudden you got Josh Thompson coming in, and you got Carius Kern, and you got Solomon Thomas, and you got Weston Davis, a redshirt freshman. You got Tyree Adams starting for the first year. You got DJ Chester's only a sophomore. You got Cohen Eccles, who's a redshirt freshman. Man, you're probably going to see 1 or 2 of those guys that say, I'm on the third.
By the way, there's some excellent wide receivers that are going to have a hard time getting on the field.
Well, man, and so that's interesting. That portal starts next week, I think. And so we'll see. But
yeah.
Good question, Krabs, as always.
Yep. Spectrum Wellcare, will Zion Williams contribute on the defensive line this year?
If he loses some weight, there's a possibility. He's got to what do they say? Don't eat the gumbo with the rice. No rice in the gumbo. He is a big man. And this gets back to the question now to the head coach, Mike. At what point do you determine whether you redshirt a kid? They don't stay around 5 years any longer. And if they don't play, they might take the ball and go home anyway. But once again, if you leave in the portal, you got to have a place to go. But Zion Williams is the kind of physicality I'm glad that they signed. But, man, there's more depth on the defensive tackle spot. Now that I saw with Jacoby and Gilroy, I'm pumped up about that. I think he's going to be good to go for the night of August 30th.
All right. And Alumni Hall, everybody. Got to get over there. Beautiful store, loaded with LSU gear, all of it officially licensed. Perkins Row, or you can shop online at alumnihall.com/LSU. They've got the Nike gear, Johnny O, Omni Reserve, Peter Millar, Southern Tide, and much more. Use the code TigerBait, all one word, in store online. You're going to get 10% off your purchase. So go shop with my friends over at Alumni Hall and use the code TigerBait to save. And again, your ultimate Tiger shopping destinations is where Tigers shop, involved in the NIL space. And you get free shipping on all your orders over $99 at alumnihall.com. And absolutely fantastic people. And I need to talk about Dykes Electric, the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. No matter how big or small your electrical needs may be, Dykes is wired for success. You need a brand new 10-story office building, they can wire that. A 200,000 square foot warehouse you need built, they can wire that. Exploring your existing commercial building, they can wire that. Changing out a breaker, a whole electrical panel, a receptacle, upgrading the old lighting in your home or office, they can wire that. Give them a call today at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180 for a free estimate on your project, and make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in.
I'm wired up.
Yeah. Great people.
Yes, they are. Big LSU fans, great name in this town.
Yep. And I'm going to be reaching out to them soon. I got some stuff I need. All right. Let's see. Let's get to some more comments. Dane Bergeron. Mike says that you're still celebrating Agnetha's birthday wearing that shirt. See what I told you?
What?
It's coral, Dane. It's not pink. I told Buddy that you would be bringing that up. And Agnetha is the blonde from the group ABBA.
Congratulations to Snake. He signed a 3-year deal with Dr. Daniels this afternoon. And so we want to meet Snake. We want to see Tiger Shark and all of the folks that listen to us. But Snake's a great viewer and a great fan and great Tiger fan. And Mike.
He actually drinks box wine.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. So, Snake, always good to hear from you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dane. Thank you for that super chat. And, of course, one of our longtime TigerBait subscribers. Fire 3449, the most pressing issue in women's basketball is the lousy officiating. I'm not going to go against that. I'll tell you one thing that I noticed, and the guys sitting next to me on the media row probably tired of me. I don't know how they if they ever decided to call caring in women's basketball, it would be called almost every time down court. These girls carry more. This whole thing. I mean, when did they quit calling that?
Well, there's a couple of other ones I got to throw in there. 3 seconds. Lauren Betts was camping out. She had a tent in the lane for 5 seconds. Kim Mulkey's going, she's in the freaking lane. Call it. And then, of course, Mike, there's another one that they don't call very often, and it happens more than they don't call enough. When you're inbounding the ball, 5-second call. You know, how many times in LSU, that's one thing they got to get better at, both men and women, out of bounds and inbounds plays. But look, don't get me started about umpiring. And the SEC baseball. I don't know how J&M did the game last night at Nichols. The Nichols people were going crazy with the umpire. Then the LSU people would. It is what it is, and you just have to get the break. But I will say this: this is a pressing question that you could ask Kim Mulkey. Do you think if you ever changed your personality on game day, that the officials would treat you differently? Because she's spicy and she's right there getting every call. And we talked about it. The female referee in the game against UCLA, that was ridiculous.
And some of these calls where they have rules where that can't be challenged because it's not under 2 minutes, and I mean that's baloney.
Yeah.
Wilk, is there any chance Brian Kelly can flip Blaine Bradford? I'm gonna be honest with you. I've talked to a bunch of people. I haven't heard anything as of right now that makes me think that LSU can flip Bradford. I'm not saying it can't be done. There's a lot of time left, but they're definitely way behind the 8 ball right now.
Yeah.
Brad David, which Les Miles team do you think was his most talented? 2011, absolutely.
Yeah.
He should have won more than one championship with all that talent. That 2011 team was absolutely fantastic. And unfortunately, had to play Alabama again. And unfortunately, Les Miles ran his team in the ground, was scrimmaging the week of the national championship game. They were at least a step, maybe even a step and a half slower. You could see it in warm-ups in the Superdome. You know, a lot of LSU players, former players, like to protect the brand. But believe me, you get a few whiskeys or whatever they're drinking in them and start asking them about how Les Miles practiced them that December leading or January leading up to that, they'll let it fly.
It is hard to believe that it's 11. It's 14.
What an idiot!
It's 14 years since that season. I got to tell you something. All the years of being on the air, I don't ever remember the fan base. And we would take scores and we would have predictions and have fun with it and try to show everybody how smart you were and all that. And I mean, after a couple, 3 games, I mean, you know, we had the 12-0 club and all that, but I've never seen an LSU team go through the regular season like they did that year. They just they were unbelievable. But you got to get to the end, and as you alluded to, Les got foggy in New Orleans, and of course,
on the flip side of it, so having said all that, his teams were tough.
They were
okay.
They were. But that was a prime of Tommy Moffitt as well. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, look, you talk to a lot of former Tigers, and I guarantee you that was tough. And you know, I'm not trying to pick on Jake Flint, but this is year 4. And I think that this is going to be a telltale sign if LSU is going to be big enough and strong enough to push people around at the line of scrimmage.
Is Brad Davis doing Jake Flint any favors?
All I can tell you is that you got to push people around in year 4.
Yeah. Brad David with a super chat. Thank you for that. Which LSU football position coach has the most approved this season? I'm going with Brad Davis.
I'm going with BK.
And Brad Davis, if his group performs well, then it's a domino effect. It makes Joe Sloan look good.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's a big year for BK. I mean, everybody in the country, and I know he's not a position coach per se, and I know what he was asking. But Joe Sloan is tied by the hip with BK. BK's got his hands on that offense, and what we see here in the spring might not necessarily, translate over to the fall. But I would say that Blake Baker is going to feel some pressure because that wasn't good enough for him.
My second will be Jake Olson.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, it is Jake Olson. And if you want to be honest,
he flies under the radar. Nobody really talks about him.
But if you want to be honest, this is one of the reasons why Bradford
there's talent there
is leaning to Ohio State, because their DB coaches have put more guys into pros than Jake Olson and LSU. And this is part of the problem when you didn't when you let Corey go and you let Blake Baker go, and that defense went to just ridiculous stage. So not to put pressure on Jake Olson, but he's got to have a good year, and they've got to sell Bradford on the fact that if Bradford comes here, then he wants to play at the next level. So you got to get some skins on the wall.
All right, everybody. See it on the screen. That's the new one. 2025 Genesis GV80, 2.99 APR for 60 months. You cannot beat that. They've got great interest rates at Genesis of Lafayette. You got to get over and see my friends there. Your premier luxury dealership, offering the finest cars and SUVs in the region, coupled with the best service anywhere. Genesis of Lafayette, huge inventory of certified pre-owned Genesis vehicles. So for a truly first-class automotive experience, it's Genesis of Lafayette, located at 6600 Johnson Street. And go to genesisoflafayette.com or call them at 877-856-2961 and tell them that TigerBait sent you in. I always tell you, there's a reason why they sell more Genesis vehicles than any other Genesis dealer in Louisiana. And they've done it now for 2 or 3 years in a row. And they don't haggle. They don't play around. They're going to go to the end of the earth to find the particular color or whatever options you're looking for. If they don't have it in stock, they're going to be truthful about what's out there and what they can get. And you can do everything from your home anywhere in the state, and they'll deliver the car to your driveway. You don't even have to go to Lafayette. That's how good they are over at Genesis of Lafayette.
Very safe car. Tiger Woods is walking around and living the life of Riley because of the security with that vehicle, and they are very, very hands-on. Do a fantastic job for you and you better have.
A GV70 is a great little SUV. A lot of the ladies love them, and great gas mileage. I think the average price of a new vehicle is like $48,000 and change now. You can get in a luxury Genesis GV70 for like $53,000, $54,000. You just cannot beat it. And that's big money. You know, it's one of these deals where like, how much? But when you hear that going, the average price of a new car deal is 48. That's not out of bounds. Got to check them out. Spectrum Well Care. BK got to make the playoffs this year.
I think so. I think so for the fans, not for his job security.
Oh, yeah, no, it's for the
but
fans.
for the PR and for the fans. Because if they lose the first game, then you basically have one loss the rest of the year. You're not going to get in at 9-3. You're just not.
Don't go 9-3 and end up in Nashville for a bowl game. And, well, we still have a chance for a 10-win season. Nobody wants to hear that shit.
I like it. You got a little spicy. Look, I'm going to quote the coach. And we had a little fun with it, but we're taking receipts and we'll see you at the Natty. That is what he told the media, because he was a little upset that there had been some criticism on the back end of the year. Coach, you're making a lot of money. Everybody knows that. It's irrelevant. But this is when you've got to do a couple things. First of all, you got to be ready to play the first freaking game. You got to go over there when you run out there and in front of the Clemson fans, you got to show them this is a real Tiger, not the purple and orange stuff, the purple and gold. And you got to go out there and physically knock the crap out of Cade Klubnik. And then you're going to see a lot of yapping. You're going to see more yapping because they're going to get after him. But you've got to make a statement in week one. And if you do that, they've got a chance. On the flip side, if you start poorly and lose the first game and have another faux pas in special teams, everybody's going to say, here we freaking go again. And so we're not shock jocking. I think any Tiger fan knows you've got to get it done.
This team could go be 9-3, but you could see a 10-2, 11-1. I mean, this could. I mean, we how many times have I said it? Unfortunately, the schedule sucks.
Well,
you know, you've got some tough road games. You got to open at Clemson. This could be BK's best team that he's had since he's been here and go 9-3 again, just because the schedule doesn't set up. I mean, what have we done the whole century? Odd years were always great because the schedule would flip in odd years.
But now it's a little different. But
it's still a little different. But this is like that.
Well, look, I think
it does you any favors when you schedule. You got Clemson as an opener in their house. It's not even a neutral game.
Mike, I think they need to listen to some Saban tapes. It's about the process and not the outcome. If you have togetherness and you have leadership, these guys have got to bond and work harder than they've ever had in the offseason. You had Will Campbell, who's going to be a high pick in a couple of weeks. You had Emory Jones. You had 2 inside guards. You didn't push people around. You got to do the work. And if they do that work, then you've got to have great coaches to get the best talent. But they're going to have the pieces. They're going to have the clay. The question is, how long will it take to shape them? And are they going to be ready to play Both those teams, I think, are going to be 8, 9, 10, 11. It's going to be probably 2 top 10 teams. Clemson a slight favorite. You got to line up and send a message. And it starts on August 30th.
All right. Yeah, that's a good point, Andy. Mike, a lot of Hyundai cars are made in America, too, if anyone is worried about tariffs. Yeah, Hyundai. And by the way, Genesis of Lafayette, right next door is the Hyundai. My boy Blake Mesh over there, they're connected. It's on the same lot. And I think Genesis and Hyundai put out a deal. Regardless of tariffs, they're keeping their prices the same for the next 3 or 4 months. Of course, we know what happened this morning. They pulled it back for 90 days. All that stuff's going to get worked out. But that's a good point, Andy. Thank you for that. C-Man CUC, for LSU go 10-2, they have to get the running game out of 16th in rushing offense. Absolutely. And that's why I said Brad Davis has the most pressure on him. And he's got Alex Adkins there. Are they going to tweak some things? I mean, when you've got the size and the bodies that they've got, and you can't do some basic high school level run blocking, because you're not going to be able to get away, like I said last week, of saying such and such running back just doesn't have vision, because these running backs you got now, they all have vision. You can debate Caleb, but Caden Durham does, and I know Harlan Berry does. JT Lindsey does.
Well, look, just for everybody's, in case you missed it, I looked at the tape again, and they still have DJ Chester running with the ones. And of course, Paul Mubinga at left guard, Tyree Adams at left tackle. You got a lot of people going in, but Cohen Eccles, well, I might ask about Cohen Eccles, because he's kind of been a guy that's been getting reps with the one at right guard, and then Weston Davis. But you still have Braylon Moore coming in. Is he going to beat DJ Chester out? Or are they going to
we're at the end of spring, and we're still talking about JT Lindsey getting the most reps with the ones.
You mean DJ Chester?
DJ Chester.
Yeah. And then Josh Thompson's a big body. And then you've still got
people were getting mad when we were talking about week 1 of spring practice coverage.
Yeah. Well, bottom line is
good for him if he earns it.
I do think they have more bodies. The question is, can they get on the same page? And I think the LSU fan base will all echo my sentiment here. Can you not call that weak ass, predictable run right up the gut? There was some stuff put out here in the last week or two where the tendencies, Mike, I didn't verify this, but I looked at some stuff. Out of the pistol, LSU was 95% run. That's how predictable they are. When you get after, you're done. They've got to look at every play call and be more unpredictable. You cannot have that kind of tendencies, because everybody knows it with all the analytics now. If you're in the pistol, stop the run. Stop the run. That's what happened last year. They've got to change that. More unpredictability. I will add this. They've got more speed, and you're going to see more deep throws. Barry and Brown.
I love the stuff they do at Bauer Sharp that we've seen. You can see stuff in practice. Do they actually use it? Are they showing stuff in practice because they know we're in there during that time period, and it's going to go up on YouTube, and other coaches are watching it, and they're never going to actually do it? I bet you that happens.
But Barry and Brown, Nick Anderson, and other guys, they got some guys that can run. And look, I talked to Harlan Berry's daddy. If you throw him a swing pass right out in the flat and let him go one-on-one 2 or 3 times a game, Caden Durham, by the way, folks, is locked in. He could have a monster year from everything that, if he stays healthy, he'll be one of the better running backs in the conference.
Absolutely. Capital City Grill, boy, look at that on the screen. That's incredible. You see that fried chicken and waffles? That is unbelievable. And you got to get over there. They incredible brunch on Sundays. And get over to 100 Lafayette Street, Capital City Grill. It's your ideal lunch and dinner stop for your casual dining experience, a fantastic Sunday brunch. And they've got the French dip sandwich. They got burgers, seafood, pasta, steaks, almost everything priced at $30 or below. And again, that Sunday brunch from 11 to 2. We talk about it during football season, but it applies during baseball. When the Tigers are playing a Sunday game at the box, head over to Capital City Grill for their brunch before you head over there. And see that on the screen? That's that $12 dream cake. It feeds 3 to 4 people. It's got layered Oreos, Snickers, caramel, chocolate, and cookies and cream, and topped with roasted pecan syrup glaze. That's something you go over there in the afternoon on Sunday when you got a sweet tooth, just to go in and to eat that. And again, great food over at Capital City Grill. Tell them that we sent you in here at TigerBait. And let's hear from Amanda's.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
There it is. Flavor says it all, buddy.
I'm going to give you a couple of spicy tidbits, folks. Once again, if you go out to LSU, we do not know the format, but we're thinking 1s against 1s, 2s against 2s. A lot of work on.
I want to see Mansour Delane with Hilton, Aaron Anderson, Jackson.
But here's where I'm getting at. LSU is going to try to block a punt this year. They haven't tried to block a punt in a long time. Aman Anad coming over from Grambling is going to be more, I guess you could say, aggressive with trying to block punts. Got a lot of return guys. Still got to see who's going to win the punting battle. We'll see more of the special teams. A lot of this stuff that we see Saturday, like you out there going to Tiger Stadium, we're going to see for the first time. We really hadn't seen a lot of full contact where they're really going after it. But special teams, once again, Mike, it could be a big part of that. You know, people don't want to hear it, but that could determine winning a game or two. Look at the debut in the Superdome. Look at all the stuff that's happened in special teams. So I'm hoping that the Mandy spicy tidbit of the night is that LSU appreciably better. And I'm going to go ahead and jump in the water and say it. LSU is going to block a kick this year. Don't know if it's a PAT, a field goal, or a punt, but they're going to get a block this year. Mike got on me because I said they were going to return a punt for a touchdown last year. They didn't do that, but they did have 2 kickoffs.
Buddy will make predictions like that, but he won't. He don't like you making predictions about wins and losses this time of year. But he knows they're going to block some punts this year.
Well, yeah, it's easier to predict that than the actual record, though, because all you got to do is be better than that team on every given Saturday. Like Clemson, all you got to do is beat them on August 30th. And so, if you start fast, but yeah, you like to throw in there 9-3, 8-4, 10-2, whatever. I'm just telling you, folks, they're going to block a kick this year. Remember that.
Dr. Butler says BK is due to win the first game and roll through the season. Dr. Butler is always optimistic. He had him Final Four, national champs. He had everything.
And Dr. Butler, I want his T-shirt size because we got a T-shirt for him.
You got to get those lifted.
By the way, are we wearing those for Saturday or not?
No, I'm not.
I'm not either.
No. But I am.
You look better in yours than I do in mine.
Yeah, but I am wearing. Is it going to be chilly?
No.
Okay. All right. Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Just once again at Auburn this weekend at Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 6 on Friday, 6 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. All SEC Network Plus. Of course, as we know, there's a lot of good teams in the SEC, and after this will be the halfway point in SEC baseball. Then you host Bama and Tennessee. That Tennessee series in a couple of weeks is going to be unbelievable. Of course, gymnastics is doing great things. April 17th, so they got about another week or so before they get in there. If there's 8 teams left, 4 will compete in one session, 4 in the other session. The top 2 go to the Final Four. Got a chance if they nail landings and stay on the beam to win another natty. Softball doing great things. Still got to win some big games. And as always, we couldn't do it without you viewers out there. So appreciate you. And enjoy this weather. And tell everybody we got some good stuff coming up here. We'll have an extensive report on numbers that you need to look for tomorrow early in the morning.
Practice report early tomorrow, along with our 4K practice footage. Again, if you enjoy the show tonight, please hit that like button. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to our channel already. It's free, and And if you hit that notification bell, you'll get an alert as we upload interviews, press conferences, or our shows go live, etc. And thanks to all of you who've already subscribed. And again, a lot of stuff coming football-wise tomorrow morning. Again, Saturday. We'll have BK after the scrimmage on Saturday. And going to be a nice group of recruits as well, high school recruits. It's I was putting together a sheet today. It's still kind of amazing to me. Looking at 2027 in Louisiana, only 7 offers are out right now, and no commitments for 27. That's kind of odd.
Well, my question to you though is, do you feel like they will get a quarterback that will reclassify for this year?
I don't know how Sloan plays that.
I mean, because we know there are 4 quarterbacks that LSU's all interested in. And let's be honest, with all these receivers you got coming in here, you got to get a big name in here. Now, we'll see whether it's a high school recruit or whatever. But portal, we'll see. We'll ask the coach about that. Do you expect to lose people in the portal? How many you can bring in? All of that. It's still a flux in season, but I think for the most part, best thing we've seen, getting their act together, not many injuries, and they have plugged in a lot of holes with this football team. But the real work starts in a couple of weeks, where you gotta get in that weight room, and you gotta bond, and you gotta build that leadership and chemistry so that you're ready to eat nails and glass when you start fall camp in early August.
All right, everybody. We'll see you on the other side. See you tomorrow with a Smoky Investment Team practice report, 4K footage, and a lot more on TigerBait.com. Please go over to TigerBait. Subscribe for $1. We'd try us out for a week. We'd love to have you as a premium subscriber. I'm on the message boards day and night. I tell you, if you want to ask me something, I'm there to answer the questions and interact. And got a lot of recruiting updates coming your way. And we'd like to have you be a part of TigerBait.com. Good night, everybody.